All right, hi, this is Matt. First off, if you are getting this video, Ted and I want to thank you so much for sharing the information about our Facebook Live events that we're doing. That means an awful lot to us, and as a bonus, what you're getting is you're going to get this values pyramid. And so I was thinking a little bit last night about the best way to do this, and one of my best ways to do things is via video, so that's what I'm going to do. So what I did is, I'm in my home office here. As you can see, it's very elaborate. But I want to talk to you about the values pyramid and just kind of how you structure it. Please understand that this is my values pyramid. You do not need to copy me exactly. I know a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm going to do it exactly like you. But when you do that, you want it just being an echo. And what we want you to be is we want you to be a voice in the wilderness, okay? Because remember, your prospective clients, your prospects, they're in the wilderness and they need a voice to lead them out of the wilderness, and that's you, okay? So let's go ahead and get into this. Let's go to the values pyramid. Now, how did I come to this? Well, you know, I'm 50 years old and I spent a lot of time reading. I spent a lot of time studying success, and quite frankly, one of my favorite coaches to follow and just kind of dig into is John Wooden. And John Wooden was the famous coach for the UCLA Bruins from the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. And John Wooden always used to talk about just the basic fundamentals, and he had the pyramid of success for his basketball players. Now, UCLA won, I believe, 7 straight NCAA championships. They went on like an 82-plus game win streak. They won their conference like 10 years in a row. I think he won 10 national championships in 13 years. Frankly, he was a modern-day Nick Saban, the head coach for the Alabama Crimson Tide, except for just a lot nicer. So, and if Nick ever gets a hold of this, he'll agree with you that John Wooden was probably a lot nicer than him. So, and in fact, here's the book. This is just one of the books on the values, on the John Wooden Pyramid of Success. I do highly recommend that you read about it. A lot of great stuff, but I kind of simplify, okay? And where this came out of is that over my years as an entrepreneur, I've had a lot of peaks and valleys. I've had some great clients, I've had some really crappy clients. I've had some good business partners, I've had some horrible business partners. And kind of through this last iteration of some things not working out, I decided it was time to kind of just take a look at my values and then create a prism through which I can go ahead and filter opportunities and people that I would potentially do business with. So, with the help of one of my friends, Dr. Matt Alexander, this is what we came up with. Now, in a pyramid, these are the basics, or these are the foundations, okay? This is the capstone, the actual top, okay? And these things on the outside is the mortar. It's the things that hold everything together, okay? So on mine, and I do not recommend that you go any more than I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks in my pyramid. That is the absolute maximum I would recommend that you have. If you can get away with 6, do 6, but I just kind of felt like 7 was good for me, and this is something that's going to continually change. I keep this hung in my office. I look at it regularly when I have business opportunities, when I'm looking at clients. This is what I look at, okay? So, first and foremost, you're going to notice that the words are gritty, curious. You're going to just kind of notice the context or that these words have very, very specific meanings. Last thing I'm going to say before I jump into this is every single one of these words, what I like to do is then I like to go into Websters Dictionary, and I like to dig into Websters Dictionary. I want to understand exactly what is that definition. Most people today, they use words and they have no idea what that word actually means. I highly recommend that you get a dictionary or go online, and when you're thinking about your values, look them up and see what they really mean. See how they're used in the context of sentences to see if they really mean that to you. So the first thing for me is gritty. I have to associate with people, I have to associate with situations of people that are gritty. And what I mean by gritty is they have the smoke of battle on them. They've been through the wars. They have survived the wars, okay? I really don't like people that, I want you to think about it this way. I had a friend of mine one time, or a mentor friend of mine say one time, if you were going to boot camp and getting ready to go to war, would you rather have a drill sergeant who's read about war or somebody who's been shot at and surrounded by the enemy? I want the latter. Okay, so I want people on my team that are gritty. I want people that have been through the wars. I don't want people saying, hey, this would be really neat. Okay, the next thing is, before I get to the center one, the one on this other side, as you're facing this, the right, is reliable. I want people that I know are gonna get crap done. Okay, I hate people that are all talk and no show. If you say you're going to do something and you're going to get it done by a specific deadline with me, then you better do it, okay? I don't have time to be chasing you. I'm not in the business of babysitting. You are an adult, act like one, okay? And when you get to this next layer, you're going to realize I've got another one that built right on top of that. And you're going to notice these are kind of like built on each other. Now the center for me is humility. I am going to tell you right now, I am not a very humble person. It is not my natural way to be humble. I have learned through lots of bumps, bruises, cuts, open sores, wounds, amputations, to be humble, okay? When I am not humble, when I think I have all the answers, my pyramid comes crashing down. And that's why I put humble in the center. It's very important for me that humble stay in the center. I work very hard to stay humble. There's a lot of ways that I do it. As you get to know me, you'll understand that my faith is very centered to what I do. But humility is not, by the way, woe is me. Humility, being humble, is realizing that you only have a few skill sets and there's a lot of other people around you that are smarter, and it's always deflecting praise. Always saying, no, Ted did this or Bob did that, and I never want to be the one who is getting the accolades. I want to push those accolades to my team members, okay? Great book to read on that, by the way, is the book Hungry, Humble, and Smart, to get a much better understanding of what humility really is and looks like. Okay. Next, above that, above grit, is curious. You have to have an insatiable appetite to learn. I once had a business partner who thought that my spending money on books and going to seminars and having a coach was stupid. Literally said that. Oh, that's stupid. Funny thing was, is he was a coach. He coached a sport. But you've got to be curious. Some people like to call it coachable. I'm just very curious about the world. I'm very curious about what makes people tick. I'm curious about what makes people successful. Okay, just before I got on this video, I was reading a little article on Nick Saban. I'm very curious as to what is it that he does that makes him so successful that they won 5 national championships in 9 years. Okay, next to the right of that is accountable. Accountability is sorely lacking in this country. Okay. Everybody wants to blame everybody else for their lot in life. You know what I got to say about that? You can't work with me. Take responsibility for where you are in life. If you are broke, it's your fault. Okay? If you don't have the marriage you want, it's your fault. It's not his or her fault. Fix you first. Okay? Don't worry about fixing everybody else. Fix you first. When I work with people, I want people that are accountable. Whether it's a client, whether it's somebody on my team, I want people that are accountable. Even my client. I want clients, if you have humility and you're accountable, oh my gosh, do you know how much we can get done? I just had this conversation with my son yesterday, my 12-year-old son Colin yesterday. He missed an assignment, okay? And what I told him is I said, it's one thing to miss the assignment. It's another thing to be accountable and humble and go to the teacher and say, I missed my assignment. It's my fault. Not the dog ate my paper. I didn't know about it. He said, I missed it. I should have had it in. What can I do to make it up? That's accountability. Okay? Accountable. Encourage. I'm a big time encourager. I like to encourage people. I'm not the best disciplinarian. I'm not the person that you want basically running operations, but I like to encourage people. I always see the benefit in people. I always see the upside in everything. I have a basic philosophy in life that is, what if it's all a blessing? Another topic for another day. Actually, I have an audio on that. If you want it, let Ted and I know and I'll send it to you. But I love to encourage, okay? I believe that anybody can do anything. And I literally believe that. I believe that you literally, if you set your mind, okay, I can't become an NFL quarterback. I'm 5'7" for God's sakes. But you get what I mean, right? I could become a great NFL coach. Okay, next, grace. Okay, what the hell is grace? I recommend that you look it up. But grace is that it's forgiveness, okay? I have a saying that in a world, we're in a judgment world. Everybody wants to judge. Oh, you're a Trump supporter. I can't talk to you. Or you voted for Hillary. You're a dumbass. Whatever. Okay. I'm in the lovement game. I'm not in the judgment game. Okay. It's not my job to judge people. That's someone else's job. That's another person's job, and I'm glad I don't have that. I do not have time to run around throwing stones at other people's glass houses because it's going to ricochet and hit mine. Okay. Grace means that, you know what? We're all in process. And I always try to understand the process that everybody else is in. What has caused them to be at that place, okay? And I want to understand that. And so grace to me is a big, big component of that. All right, so that's the pyramid. You got gritty, humble, reliable, curious, accountable, encourage, and grace. Grace is the capstone. Okay, you'll notice that grace is not at the base. Here's why. If I operated my business purely from a place of love, I would be broke. Okay? Because if it's just love, unconditional love, then I'm going to let everybody get away with everything. Okay, so that's the capstone. Very important that the placements of these rocks. Think about this. If one of these fall, this whole thing is going down. Okay, now let's talk about the mortar. Okay? The mortar for me is what holds this whole thing together. Okay? And for me, they're the two things that are the hardest thing for me to do. And they are trust and to be patient. I'm not a very patient person. Okay, and some people are like, oh, that's what makes you a great entrepreneur. Yeah, and also my impatience has caused me to birth a few Ishmaels in my life. Okay, my impatience has caused me to wind up in business transactions and take on clients that I took on just for the sake of money. So I've learned to be patient. I have a process that I go through to understand this, and quite frankly, I have learned to be patient, to just check things out. And what I mean for me by being patient is I take this patience and I filter this person I might take on as a client, or I might do business with, or I might bring it on my team, and I filter them through. Now, I don't expect them to have all of these. However, this base is more important than this base, and this base is more important than this base, and this base is more important than that base. Okay? So if you don't have these things, I'm probably not going to wind up taking you on as a client. I'm probably not going to do business with you. Okay? And then the last thing is trust. Okay? And trust, I'm going to go a little bit into a place that people don't like you to go, but I will just tell you this. I trust that God's got a plan, okay? And I trust Him that He's going to lead me in the right direction. Now, I'm going to leave it at that, okay? Now, if you want to email me about these other things, I'm telling you about my values pyramid. This doesn't have to be yours, okay? But I have to have a tremendous amount of trust. I can't even tell you the number of times that the last minute things have come through. And when I stress and obsess about things, they don't work out. And when I just trust the process, it can be trusting God. It can be trusting the process. I trust the process. I know that if I do X amount of things every single day, if I do 50 new LinkedIn connections, or I make sure that I've got 10 consults a week, I trust the process, and I trust and I know that I'm going to get clients. Okay, so trust can be a couple of things, but it's those two things. One is a trust in God for me, and then it's a trust that if I follow the process, everything else is going to take care of itself. Okay? So, there you go. That's my values pyramid. Now, where would you go and get values? Well, I do recommend that you get the John Wooden book. There's a list of values in there. I do recommend that you can just Google a list of values online. And I recommend that you play with this. Talk to people around you. Be humble enough to ask people who are in your inner circle or your outer circle, what do you think about this? I've run this probably by about 10, 15 people. Guys I play golf with, some guys liked it, some guys hated it. One guy said, I'm going to do this myself. I have a gentleman that I coach and I go to therapy with, my counselor. He and I have worked very closely on this. So this is mine, okay? I recommend that you do something similar for yourself. I hope this has helped you. If you have any questions, please feel free to just send Ted a message and he'll filter it to me. If there's any additional resources that you'd like, something that I mentioned here again, just email Ted and Ted will get it to me and we'll get it out to you, all right? Thanks. Sorry this thing isn't really clean. I'm going to walk now and turn this thing off, but that's the way it works when you're shooting this thing early in the morning, okay? Thanks.